She's crowding me.
Get over here. Yours.
I can't believe it. We're taking on the Winter Village tomorrow. I'm so excited.
Oh, you guys.
Oh, I'll start right now. Can you start right now?
I'll kill you. Kill you.
Chop, chop, chop.
Get away from my village. Oh.
Sorry, I got a new axe and I can't put it down. I'm all like.
When I got a baby girl and I can't put her down.
I've got Stormbreaker here.
I love you both.
I got it.
Oh, someone's moving in or moving out.
Oh, really? Hello, everybody. How you guys doing?
I got
We're
it.
just hanging out on a Sunday morning.
I'm so glad the lady above us is like quiet and nice.
Yeah.
She's probably thankful. She should have told me she was thankful that we weren't. The two people that lived in this apartment before us apparently were major league douchebags. And that's verified. She told me that. But again, you need a second, third witness, according to the Lord. Yesterday, I hear a knock on the door and I see a cop car out there. And I'm like, they're on to me. Shit. No. I was like, I don't think I did anything bad. So I opened up the door and I was doing, of course, too, you always have that debate. Like, should I just say, I'm not opening the door unless you, be a dick. But I was like, whatever. So I opened the door, cracked it open. I was like, can I help you? And he's like, Brett Barton or I don't know, whatever name
George
he said.
Bakley?
Yeah, we probably shouldn't say his name on
No,
YouTube.
we shouldn't say his name.
But no one knows. So anyway, I already knew who the guy was because he either didn't forward his mail
I don't even know if that's a name.
or the post office messed it up. But we get his mail constantly along with a bunch of other people. I don't know what the deal is there.
I think another one's Victor Colacino. We get his mail too.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, he lived here before us. We still get his mail. And the guy was like, big mouth. And the guy was like, yeah, we ran his plate, and this is the last address he had. And I was like, yeah, you missed him by about 3 months. So, that kind of confirms, I'm going to say, that the lady upstairs, the second witness, that he was kind of a douchebag. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe he was a freedom fighter. Off.
Something.
But, yeah.
So that was an interesting, that was an interesting moment. But nonetheless, we're pretty boring
She's
over
Big
here.
Billy.
Yeah.
And you're Big Billy Joe?
Well, those guys must have had the wrong place because they backed up. Okay, all right.
So,
Chop,
got
chop.
it out.
for a
Hit
little
the
girl
bricks.
to... Oh yeah, we just spent like 30 minutes getting out Bella's eyelash, and she was victorious.
It wasn't an eyelash.
I don't
it
think
was
it was an
longer than
eyelash. I don't think it was an
It was a
eyelash.
hairpiece.
Or maybe it wasn't. Or maybe
There
it
was
was an eyelash.
there was something in her eyeball
Oh my gosh.
that would not come out with traditional methods.
Stuck.
So I'll tell you right now, it's a shame that YouTube is run by commie tyrants because
Coffee.
I didn't put it there. Sorry, I have something in my throat. Because it is one of the most useful tools to humanity, in my opinion, that's ever been seen. The amount of free information from professionals that you can glean in a matter of seconds off of YouTube is incredible. So, went to YouTube, saw an eye doctor, taught me 2 things I didn't know. To check under your eyelid, you put a Q-tip over your eyelid and use that to peel your eyelid up over it. And then the second trick is to take a cotton ball and make it damp, so you don't want the little hairs coming off, do the opposite. And you can actually rub it across your eyeball, and it'll wipe out all the hair, the stuck hair off of it. And I was like, really? And they did it, but she did it first to prove it to her, because she was like, meh. They said it felt great. It felt
It felt awesome.
like
actually.
cleaning your eyeballs off.
Yeah, I don't know, right?
Like, I had to do it 2 times because the second time it got stuck to my eyelashes. I was like, oh no, don't blink. And then I was like, whoop, and I was like, yes.
So
She did it!
I would recommend you
Okay.
go research it yourself a little bit, but yeah, you can wipe your eyeballs. I don't know if it needs a charger or not, but the charger I took it out of your room is right there.
That yellow.
Yeah, why don't you go
There you
do that?
Okay.
That way we'll get the party started over here. You got it?
Okay, I'll get to Genesis.
Oh, don't worry, we're not doing that. So
414. Okay, it's still recording.
cool.
I forgot to put my phone into airplane mode, but it should be fine.
With Grandpa.
we are actually
Okay.
here.
Oh wait, one second. And for proof.
Yeah,
Yeah, that method didn't work. Well, here, go put it back, please.
Thank you. I can
you all.
take the phone and the charger. So we're actually here for some inspiration today.
What is this? Oh.
We have another inspirational video / testimony, I guess you could say, story coming up.
Yeah.
We've been wanting to do this for a long time, so think it's finally right. And I always preface it with like not wanting to do it for attention or like, oh yeah, wow, look at like.
Yeah, listen,
The charger. Oh, here.
I like to talk, so I could blab all day. So I have to restrain myself quite a bit because one, there usually a million other videos on the same topic, and two, we're trying not to just get BS attention just for views. We want to put out something that's going to help someone else.
Or just gloat for the sake of like, oh, I'm gloating because the Lord has done blah 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 blah. Look at me, like I don't.
I think the reason we're
like
doing
to
it,
do that.
stuff videos like this, is because when I initially started and before that, I just was in doubt. You know, I was like, oh, he's not going to do it. How's he going to? And slowly but surely, I was like, really? Is the Lord? Did he just do that for us? And because I'm really skeptical. So I'd be like, well, no, it's just the person in that office actually did their job today. But then we get a lot of things like told to us that like, I can't believe how fast that was done. Usually it takes weeks, and you got done in 30 minutes. Like I'm
had
not
so many.
Yeah, and I know you're gonna say, well, that doesn't mean anything. I would normally say that too, but you'd be surprised how often that happens now to important things.
Like really important things, you know.
So, and that's not it. There's obviously
or even
way
our
more.
Health issues,
there's way more
some
things.
Of our health issues, at least, right?
Yeah, that we probably won't trot out on camera all
I
of them.
did the one with the cortisol, which was huge,
Yeah.
and that was actually so meaningful.
Being
to
on
me,
steroids
so-
for years, over years, and that high doses, low doses, stop, start, injection of steroids.
Oh my
effed
gosh!
everything up.
When I got my injection of steroids,
Oh, I thought it was over.
it was like over.
Because there was a mistake and they injected her with steroids.
When I was trying to get off of steroids, and when
Would you
we
like
got,
some steroids with your steroids?
when did I get tested?
On the side of
It was
steroids.
March. So I got my stuff in like the summer, and the shot was like out of me in September, and by like March I was making no cortisol. So we had an
For a
Addison's
long
diagnosis.
time. For a long time. Yeah, we even got a diagnosis. So it was a while.
And I was put on steroids again, and I had to take high doses because of many infections and things that were going on, and it wasn't working
An RA.
because I didn't know that the more that you are on steroids, the less effective they are.
Which is which makes sense because that's a lot of things.
Right.
And
Well, because I remember when I went on them, I was like, I have to take a ton to get
they
anything.
weren't working as good, yeah.
And they worked like shit.
I'll tell you right
And-
now, prednisone, steroids is some. Yeah, it's
nasty.
a problem. Is again, I just made a video titled "You'll Pay." It's the same deal. It's very effective at certain things, and in other ways, it just wrecks you.
Well, I remember
Wrecks you.
I would take them a couple hours later. I'd go through like major withdrawal, and I was like, well, you know what? Life off of these steroids is probably just as good, better than being on the ups and downs of the steroids.
all the stories of the people that would say, I gained 60 pounds even though I ate nothing, and this one guy was running 10 miles a week, 20 miles a week, no, 60, wasn't he? He was a runner, and he would watch his diet, and he still gained tons of weight.
So I was praying really hard because it was so hard for me to manage this disease on top of a lot of other health issues that I have. So it was
tough.
like it was really tough. I mean, I was like crying out. I was begging. Not gonna lie.
It makes you feel bad.
And I feel ashamed that sometimes, like, that even helped me, you know?
Well, it makes you feel bad for the people that you see that are really effed up.
Right. It's like, I'm so undeserving, but then I don't want to also not be thankful for the blessings and gifts, because then that shows something else too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I feel like he is teaching me to accept the gifts and the blessings and the difficulties, everything, you know, like, so thank you. I mean, that was huge for us and I mean, I had to grin and bear it for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I mean, there were times during the summer when I wasn't even able to go out. I had to stay at home for months because I was so down.
And then when we did go out,
Because it
she'd
did
have to
take
wear
time.
she'd have to wear an actual N95 mask, not a
For
surgical
another
mask,
reason.
and a pair of ski goggles to keep the dust out.
Because of the ice. So I have like, we lived in Phoenix, Arizona for like 7 years. So this is actually perfect. Because this goes into the story.
You know, the problem is when you convey something on a video and people aren't there to experience it for themselves, it's just hard to convey what a nightmare it was. Unless, I mean, I guess a lot of people have issues or know someone that have a lot of issues.
Well, if
so,
you have
I
health
mean,
issues, then I think
major
you'll
ones.
understand
Yeah.
what I'm talking about with everything. And we didn't know, like idiots, when we moved to Phoenix, that I had major dust allergies. I remember when we lived in New York, and I would dust the house, and like I would blow up, and I just didn't put like two and two together because it didn't happen all the time. That I was really severely allergic to dust. So when we moved to Phoenix, one of the first signs.
I couldn't take the doors and the top off the Jeep. We had a Wrangler, which I loved. And we could never, I was like, what's the point of moving here? We couldn't take I mean, I would always keep the
We
doors
didn't know
off.
why.
When I had 3 Wranglers, and I would, until she would fight me, and winter came in upstate, I would keep the top and the doors off constantly. I loved it.
And we were fine in upstate New York.
Yeah,
Like, there was
yeah.
no issue.
Yeah.
And we moved down to Phoenix, and suddenly, like, we couldn't even put the windows down. I
She'd be
couldn't
like,
keep
"Turn
the
the window
windows
up." It was-
open.
yeah.
I would just pour mucus. And this
Inflammation.
stayed for a while. And I actually think this is one of the reasons why my RA
Yes, and
started to
a
develop.
prolonged allergy state is something that can kickstart your RA if you're genetically disposed.
Now, I didn't know this, but right around the
Really?
time when I got sick, when did I actually get really sick? 2000, was it 2020?
Yeah, a bunch
No,
of times. A bunch of
2019
times.
is when I had this, my back.
You did start getting more and more sick. That was probably a precursor to it, like the occluded we didn't catch.
Well, I remember, like, first my cyst started going,
Acting up.
like it was bad. Couldn't walk. I mean, I was just like, you would carry me everywhere. And then
Still doing that.
yeah, and then after that, I started actually getting like RA sick, and then I had to take antibiotics, and that just threw it. Like I was like full blown RA mode because antibiotics is another thing. Didn't know at the time that can jumpstart RA, and we were living at our first house in Queen Creek, I think. Yeah, Queen Creek.
Queens, New York.
I was close to Queens when I grew up. But
I'm a New Yorker.
that's right, yo.
She used to try to tell me she was a New
Don't
Yorker.
talk.
And then I found out. I was like, oh, where? And she's like, oh, the tip. You could see water from her grandma's house where she
It's
lived.
beautiful.
From the bay, the ocean. I'm like, you're not a New Yorker.
Oh, more
All
of a
those
New
people-
Yorker than you.
All those people think they're from the
That's
city.
for sure.
Oh, we're from the city. You're only an hour farther away than I was in Rochester.
I was an hour and a half away. Okay, you were like 8 hours
Oh,
away, so
No, we're 6.
I went in there more than you.
I'm from the
Anyway.
city. 3 hours away in the sticks where they grow potatoes.
It's not that far. It's not that far. I had to drive the LIE way more times
The
than
Lure?
you. The Lure.
Well,
We
that's-
got to go on the Lure a
That's
ton.
not something to be proud of. I had to ride the train. The train sucks. Yeah, I got to ride in my car. It was awesome.
It was nice. I didn't mind it too much. Anywho,
Yeah, it was
so back to Queen Creek. We weren't in, like, obviously there's been tons of videos where I've talked about my relationship with the Lord and how when I was like 7, I think that was our time when we first met. And it's like, he forever changed my life. But I was a rowdy teen and thought that I could do things on my own. Thought that the world was great. You know, just deception. Oh, deception. So, you know, obviously I think there was one time in my life where I was just like, the Lord doesn't exist. And it was the worst day of my life. Like, it was horrible. I think it was like 1 week where I was an atheist and I was like, this is ridiculous. I couldn't. But so after that, it was more of like a relationship that's like, how do you say, like do it my way or the highway type of thing. Like, I wasn't actively, like, pursuing the Bible or anything like that. I would talk to him a lot. I think it started at my AmeriCare hospice because I was a hospice nurse. And I just remember that's right before I got sick. And I felt like those years before I got sick, he was talking to me. Like, he was trying to engage in a deeper level, in a deeper relationship. But I just wasn't there. And then I got sick and I got angry and it was
It's funny how
bad.
people turn to the Lord when they get sick and bad stuff
Well,
happens.
at first I was just
I'm sure
like...
he'd appreciate it if people would just come to him for no reason. You know, just like, hey.
I mean, I was there before I got sick, but I wasn't. Like, if I didn't get sick, I would have thought, like, I can just do this on my own because it's stubborn, you know, like, I needed the Lord, but I didn't, like, need to do it his way, if that makes any sense. And then I got sick and I got angry and I turned away, I think, almost. Like, it just was like, I remember...
Why did you let this happen to me?
Oh, it was... okay, so you want to hear about the mercy
Wasn't my
of
own
Yeshua?
decisions.
Like, there's some mercy. I remember this October, like, no other, because this was even before the RA happened, and I didn't even know. This was just when I was, like, diagnosed with a back issue that'll never get fixed, ever.
Can't
And
fix
I'd
it.
be in excruciating pain for the rest of my life. Yeah. So I was on the bathroom floor, like, screaming. I was like, how could you do this? Like, it was bad. I was yelling at him. And just, like, suddenly I just felt the, like, most peaceful spirit of my life kind of, like, come down on the right side. And the voice, it was, like, the voice where you just want to worship. You were like, yes, sir. Like, I want to worship you. Like, I'm going where you're going. And it was so peaceful and so loving. And I just remember, like, just, you know, calm down and relax. Like, this is something that, you know, we'd never want for you. And you'll understand what it means, you know, in a few years. And then it was gone. And I kept that hope. And I didn't realize, I thought it was just going to be, like, a fixing. But it was a fixing. It was the most spiritual fixing of our life. And I still think, in some ways, some things will be fixed in time. Like, the cortisol got fixed in time, and I think that eventually the other things will be done when they need to be done on his time. But right around when I got sick and that happened, that's when I started looking up RA. And that's when we started figuring out that sometimes being in an allergic response, like
Prolonged.
dust, can actually...
Prolonged allergic response.
Now, when we were in Queen Creek, you suddenly... Well, one, you were the one that started, like... He just, like, randomly started praying at the table one day. And you started talking about, like...
I can't for the life of me. I remember that I was just fed up with shit and I was trying to change. I was trying to be more positive because what does a shitty attitude do for you? Nothing. And I was just watching motivational speakers and I can't quite pinpoint
Yeah.
where the jump came from
do
that
remember.
to like, I just don't, it's a blur. I don't remember why I thought it. I don't remember. It wasn't like I was like, well, let's just try this.
Maybe the spirit just compelled you.
But I don't remember even the reasoning I said to myself. That was blurry too.
It literally was one day, and I remember it in the dining room.
'Cause he's
in the
talk-
kitchen.
I've
And we've never not prayed at the dinner table since.
I've had one like interaction with him before, which I'm not gonna say. It's not like it's profound. If anything, it's kind of makes me look bad.
No, mine's makes me look bad. Okay,
But
let me tell you, I'm sorry, Lord.
I can't pinpoint why I did that. I can't.
Don't worry, mine was terrible. I was screaming at him.
No, mine makes me. You were screaming at him. Mine makes me seem arrogant or whatever. So I'm not gonna say it.
Well, I just apologized to him because it wasn't your fault, you know. It was my fault. But he turns, you know, like he always turns everything into good. And because of that, you started randomly praying. And we started, so in Camp Rivers, when you started saying, like, I think we need to leave because we didn't know why yet. We thought it was because I had RA, and I actually had like an allergy to the sun once I got RA.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, in the middle of the desert.
horrible.
In the middle of the desert, dust, allergy
Oh
to
my
the sun.
gosh! Talk about like I was in
No, that was probably him. That was
bondage.
probably one of his ways, because that's the way he works. That's probably his way to like drive us out of there.
Well, I felt like a lot of the times I was an Israelite, like stuck in Egypt, and each time he was delivering us from.
Well, we probably should say the
horrible.
reason. One of the reasons I was wanting to go to Phoenix is, and this has already started to happen. So I was kind of the Lord was right. You got more and more people moving there. It's roughly 6-7 million people in the area, Phoenix area. Where are you getting water? Everybody would bitch about the traffic, and I'd say, yeah, the traffic sucks, which it was. It was terrible. But what about the water? And they would just stop and look at me. Already over there, they've had water problems with surrounding like cities. There's this one called Palo Verde or something.
Yeah.
And it's not some random town way away. It's right outside of Scottsdale. It's basically they're McMansions, they're nice houses.
Mm-hmm.
Scottsdale cut them off the water completely, gave them no. So there's people, as far as I know,
Yeah,
starting
'cause it's
December
too
1st.
expensive.
Starting
If
December
they're done.
1st,
They turned it off.
they won't even let them fill up trucks and buy the water, which is weird. And Scottsdale
Weird.
Scottsdale is in a stage 1 water emergency, and we just found out too that starting now, I guess, if you're 1 month late on your water payment, they will cut you off. So
That was one of the reasons.
and so then we started looking around and said, we got to get out of here. And we were thinking about moving to Idaho, Boise.
Well,
But,
once we had to sell our house,
yes,
and we moved into this rental, and we knew
it was temporary.
that year would be temporary. But when we moved, we started to see
Yeah.
the beauty of the Lord, right?
Yeah.
And he had done a couple of things that I won't speak about because they're kind of, private.
He got me this nice axe.
But it was like, wow. Like, there was no explanation when we first moved in, and I knew he was trying to reach us. You know what I
someone
mean?
let us borrow like $6,000. Someone that really didn't even know us. Just borrow $6,000.
Our realtor.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a Christian, and I think God has always hooked us up. He has always hooked us up without us knowing with amazing
Of
people
course, the second we sold the house,
that
I
would take care of us.
I gave him the wad of cash back. but-
Yeah, because that's not who we are. But and then when we moved into our rental house, he hooked us up with people that took care of us. Thank you, Lord, so very much.
They did things that they didn't have to do and probably shouldn't have done
to help us out, and
multiple times when we moved out during the time.
Oh yeah, there's another I mean, there's been there's so many miraculous miracles that I can't even tell you them all, and they're not all for just gloating and boasting. They're to give glory to God. He deserves it.
There are people
he
for
deserves
God,
the glory.
and then people for, like I said, for me who are doubtful. And don't expect to win the lotto because you prayed last night at the dinner table. We didn't half-ass it, which is interesting because if I'm not into something, we started praying, and then we have not. I shouldn't say never, but I would say with 99.8% statistical accuracy, I can say we have barely missed a day of reading the Bible in probably a year and a half.
Since last January. Or I think we started even before we did it at church.
No, we were reading before a month or two.
And we started this channel right before,
Yeah,
when we
so,
started, because when we moved to the house in Gilbert is when our relationships both, I think, started to skyrocket, right?
We started reading the Bible for ourselves. And then because you go to church for an hour on Sunday.
I mean, we did go to church.
Well, we tried going to church,
and it wasn't a bad church.
We got lucky.
It wasn't horrible.
Yeah, we got lucky and found a really. Well, they started at the end, and when we left, it got kind of questionable.
But
it
was decent, I guess, for church land, I guess, right?
For churchy
land,
yeah. So we. But once we got our eyes, we studied, we watched other videos from other pastors on YouTube, and once we got our eyes more and more opened, obviously, we saw that even our church was engaged in churchianity.
Some things that were not everything.
Things that are forgivable. But,
yeah.
I mean,
just that basic
Easter, Halloween, Christmas, once you do those, you're done. Those are awful.
I mean, I just always
That's idolatry.
Pray.
Um,
That,
so we put the effort in. He's not just going to, if you pray once at the dinner table, I pray every night at the dinner table.
Yeah,
and I go to
clicking my
church. I go to church for an hour on Sunday, and at the Sunday school, they make little doodles. My 4-year-old doodles Jesus. So we're covered. Meanwhile, the rest of the week, your kid probably sits in front of the TV and goes to school and gets taught anti-God,
I think we just put our hearts into
you're
it
good with that 1
because we really loved him and we do love him, and we saw all that he had done. I think that was for me.
You follow the Torah.
I saw everything that he did for us
love
and
him
how
the
much
best.
he loved us.
Yeah, you love him with all you got, and follow the Torah. Don't listen to the churchianity
Well, I
people.
actually don't say follow the Torah.
I do.
Follow this book right here.
Well, yeah, but the law is
complete,
in the beginning.
from top to bottom. Don't just skip
yes.
one.
Well,
don't just do Torah. Don't just do New Testament. Put it all together
yes,
and
but
do it.
Here's the problem.
That's my whole thing. Is like I just feel like we want to do this whole book.
Yes, the problem
Right,
is churchianity will tell you that when Jesus died, you
But
don't
that's
have to
not
follow
the
the
point
Torah.
of this video.
No, but real
so,
quick,
I mean,
Torah.
I
The whole
think.
book.
I think it was just like
So anyway.
it was just like that whole heart thing where you see how he delivered us from one really bad situation, and through that I could see all the love and everything that he had done, and I was like forever changed. I was like, what do I have to do to be in a real relationship
Well,
with
that's
you?
the key too.
And that's when this
If he tells you what
whole
to do,
thing started.
if you ask for wisdom and he gives it to you, you can't be like, well, I don't like that, I don't want to do that, that's not what I want to do. You have to do it.
And and so we knew that the year of Toledo Street was an
Turned out to be a year and a half,
in-between year.
actually.
Yeah. We knew that we didn't know exactly what was going on until maybe the spring, when I think it was really revealed about the dust allergy. Because I was getting so bad during the spring.
Yeah.
And that's what I really felt like he was like, you just got to wear the mask and I probably needed to do it before because I had a hard time going outside. I was pretty much constrained to the house. And even when I would go out with the mask and stuff, I would just have so much of those allergy
go out on the balcony.
symptoms.
Go out on the balcony for like a couple of minutes.
And so we're thinking, like, how are we going to get out of this mess? Because we're not, like, the richest people in the bunch here. And we're just, moving is a lot, of money and a lot of time. And we didn't know what we were doing. And, but we knew that we were done with Arizona. So we were first going to go to
Boise, Idaho.
Yes.
But when I used my brain and I looked at a map and we did some research in Nevada, we found out that Lake Mead is and we actually drove by Lake Mead. They're not lying. That thing's like a puddle now compared to what it was. Relative, everything's relative. And I said, Nevada isn't that far from Boise, the border. Once the water is really gone, there's going to be, I don't know if really mass exodus, because a lot of people will be stuck there. They won't be able to get out for various reasons. There's not that many roads out of Arizona in the desert there. People think it's not like a city or even a popular. There's not a lot of roads getting out of there, and if there's no water,
one main interstate that goes through the whole
and
state.
there's
pretty
no
much one or two.
to actually get out. Yeah, to the north and south and west and east. And,
Yeah, like Phoenix is a couple.
when the
but
water runs out, the electricity runs out because they partly use hydroelectric. And so, but there is going to still be a good number of people that flee, and Boise's right there. So
people
we're like,
are already
maybe,
fleeing
people
in there.
Yeah,
So
I'm like, maybe Boise is a little too close. So
well, remember we were pretty much looking, but we kept getting blocked for a couple of reasons.
that's another thing too. Every time we would try to get a place in Boise, it would just mysteriously not work out, and it'd be like,
I remember in the summer, because we were going to move at the end of August,
that's a
but for health insurance
We didn't know this at the time,
We didn't
too.
know this at the time.
If we would have moved in August, she would not have had health insurance.
I wouldn't have had any health insurance, and I wouldn't have been able to get it until
We just didn't think about it.
December. We didn't even think about it, and suddenly we were just like, oh geez, and then we were just like, okay, marketplace, but then that, would have been
That takes time.
forever.
There's issues with that too.
and a time because that's the premiums and for the medications I'm on. Ooh, baby, those medications are pricey.
Thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah, I mean, because they're like chemo drugs, pretty much. And yeah, so we were just like there. We didn't know what to do. And then we kind of knew like November, December would have been the time. And so I remember feeling great because I remember like that day we were just like, well, we're not going to go to Idaho. Insurance wouldn't pan out. And I felt this like relief. But then, we figured out like, oh, we can move like November, December. So we started going back to Idaho. And then suddenly I was asking one of my sisters to pray, over the move, because suddenly I felt like the spirit just was like, sometimes the spirit just compels you to do something. You're just like, oh, can you pray for this? Like sometimes you don't always understand why. And I had her pray, and she literally texted me a couple of minutes later saying how she was praying, and we had gotten this like
How long?
warning. It was like a couple minutes.
31 minutes.
Okay,
Oh,
probably
that's
gotta-
not too bad.
Probably gonna wrap it up soon. Okay, thank you.
And
Taylor didn't answer though. She's out with her friend.
oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
about
Charlie.
that. Maybe in a little bit later.
Yeah, a little later.
Yeah, maybe a little later. So I remember something I was sitting on the couch and I felt this huge like spiritual pull, and I was just like, I gotta tell him, I gotta tell him, I gotta tell him, I gotta talk. And I think that's when you were mentioning the water too.
Yeah.
And remember I pulled you in the bathroom and I was like, I just get this strange feeling that we shouldn't go to Idaho. Like I got this
I was
like,
relieved
pull.
because I was kind of feeling that, and I was like, how am I gonna like tell her this? Because she's gonna be like, we need to go.
So in the bathroom, we decided that we weren't going to go to Idaho, but then we started looking. And I mean, this was just such a like hard time to figure it out. You know what I mean? There's so many factors, and I know like the Lord, and this should give people some kind of like relief if you're going through something that's really impossible. And it's a really impossible, hard situation, that's something that God will work with. I feel like He loves impossible situations because that's what shows His glory, and that shows like who He is. Nobody else is gonna get you out of that but Him. So don't feel like just because your situation is so far south that God can't help. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You
Like
just gotta listen when you get solutions, and even if you don't think they're the right ones or you don't want to do them.
Nothing is impossible for God. And then suddenly we were looking around, right? And we came.
Wyoming. At first
Bella,
she was like,
Bella.
no, the altitude's too high. My lungs. And I was like, so I
Well,
started
no,
asking her-
there was two reasons: because I have asthma and because my cortisol wasn't completely fixed at the time.
So I
and it's
started
so
doing-
funny to know that my cortisol was fixed right before we left.
Yes, and
Right
so
before
I
we
started
left.
doing research,
Thank you.
and I actually started talking to people who lived at altitude, who had
Addison's
the same
disease
conditions.
and asthma. Now, people that were going through Addison's disease took meds, and I was an Addison's disease recovering. So it was a little different because some people said they had to take some meds when they moved, when they were in the recovery
But
stage.
for the most part, everybody was like, it's not a big deal.
So I remember
So that was problem number one fixed.
well, I just remember we were going to do a video, and we prayed during that video that the Lord, if it was His will, would soften my heart to Wyoming. And after that, I just started thinking about sometimes, like when missionaries have to go places, when God asks you to do hard things, sometimes you're not going to things you want to do. Sometimes they're actually the
she was
opposite of what you
it's
got
a bunch
do.
of cowboys out there.
Well, I didn't know. I mean, because I'm like, well, I'm trying to think about like, not like it's not the people per se. it's just like the everybody has a culture, you know what I mean? And you're just like, well, will that be okay? But then, like I said, I started to realize that if I can't even go to like a freaking place in the United States, like there's not a big deal. So how would I ever do anything else? You know, people have to do some pretty hard shit sometimes. So I'm like, you know, and I just felt like the spirit was just gently moving away all the reservations I had, and I was like, okay, and then, you know, like, let's do it.
Can we still say that word, reservations? You know?
So we found the place, but then the timing of it was almost like impossible trying to figure that out. So finally, like, our landlord was like, we have people that are set to move in November. Like, can they?
Which was prior to our lease, because we told them we were leaving early.
Yes.
But then we were just like, well, maybe we're not going to leave early. But then they were like, we got some people that want to move in early. And we were like, well, we kind of owe them. Because they really saved their butts. And so I hopped back on to Wyoming, and we found a place.
No, there was like no places in Wyoming.
For a while. And then,
like, at first, when we were first looking, there were a ton of places that were open.
Yes.
So I was
like a month prior.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this will be no problem. And then as soon as we found out,
there was none.
I was like, what are we going to do? I mean, it was just like, I was like, Lord, come on.
And then all the other places we were applying to, like around different places in Idaho and all that, they were like ridiculously nonsensical with the requirements, how long it took to process. And then we found this place and we just applied.
Well, at first it was like a waiting list. And then
there was supposedly a big long waiting list for this place.
And then I got an email saying like there were suddenly like 2 places open. And I was like, what?
Okay, we'll sign this. We signed up and it was an easy sign up.
So I remember I was at the doctor and I'd signed up and you paid when I was at the doctor. So I came out, which was like 30 minutes, and I checked my email, and in like 30 minutes we were approved.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, just so you know, I applied to another place here, and it was taking days to get, at least a day or 2. Like, it was like 5 days. So 30 minutes is pretty, like, because I actually prayed before we left. Thank you for answering. Like, you have no business answering my prayers quickly, but I really thank you that you do sometimes, because I remember feeling like so strained about my doctor, you know, like my because I was just like trying to get into a rheumatologist, and I was getting like cut at every corner. It was taking months and months and months to get in. And I finally found a place that was able to get me in, like, in December, instead of, like, 8 months out. And I just remember praying, because I was like, you know, can you just, like, Lord, help me know that this is, like, the place that, you know, you want us to be, you know, so that I don't need to, you know, worry about my appointments and my health, and know that I'll get in, you know, to these doctor places, and know that, like, this is where you really want us. Man, if I could just get an approval, or just get like some kind of sign that this is where we're supposed to be, and 30 minutes later we got the freaking approval. So that's why it's like, thank you, because I literally prayed.
So I think too what you have to understand is he doesn't usually just come down and tell you exactly, like, do this, here's your answer. He shows you, you ask for things, and he shows, like, getting an approval in 30 minutes in a thing that usually doesn't happen like that.
When I prayed on it.
That's his way of saying, like, well, here you go. That's what I've come to learn. I thought he'd get, like, answers. And
sometimes, like, I remember when we were still, I think this was, like, September? I think it was still September when we were still debating. We were in the car together. It was September. And we were still debating on Idaho and Cheyenne, because we were really concerned about dust. And we were concerned about dust in Wyoming. And I prayed in the car, because I was like, desperation.
And I already knew. I was already like, I know Wyoming's the place.
I was like, we wanted to make sure. And suddenly I felt compelled to go to this website to look it up about air quality. And Cheyenne is the #1 air quality in the country. And I was like, oh, there's my answer. Like,
And then,
Wyoming came up
then we-
twice for air quality.
Then we dug a little further to see what they use to gauge air quality. Because like, what if it's just pollen or blah blah blah? And they do the research we did, they do include dust. Because I didn't want to like go, oh, the air quality, but then it's like, well, we don't consider dust in air quality, so they do.
They did consider dust in air
And
quality. And because the wind here.
Which it isn't even that bad. Like, maybe because I'm used to upstate New York, but the days it's windy, yes, it can get super windy. But there's also days where it's dead calm. In Rochester by the lake, the Great Lakes, there's never a day where it's dead calm. You always get something.
So yeah, I mean,
so
that's
it's not even that bad.
So that's kind of like, so that's.
Phoenix was big.
I mean, we were like on the verge of just being like,
throwing up our hands, I don't know what to do.
Like, maybe we'll just, go on the street or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, we were just like, I have no freaking idea how this is all going to work out with all the different variables that we have, which, obviously, I can see now.
It all worked out.
That
you just can't fight
trusting.
him. You have to ask him, and then don't fight him when he shows you the way.
And just trusting in him.
Hello.
Trusting one in his way.
My name is Axel. Axel Rose, and I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Oh,
do you believe in the Lord? I'd like to talk to you about Jesus. Ah.
Yeah, I think that that definitely built a lot of trust and
it's still hard. I'm gonna be
security.
honest. It's funny too because I felt better. You know when I felt better? She went to a women's group when we were still in that church. And a couple of them came out and said, once in a while I still doubt and this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm not the only one who every once. And I used to get like
all of us have moments.
all the time. I used to get voices in my head. Well, I still do. Burn it down. That are like, well, he's not real. You're just as goofy. This is stupid, or. And I used to get those constantly. But the more I read and the more things happen and the more I read and research, because I'm more like, again, like Rex, a guy I really like, watch his videos, and he's really awesome. I'm more analytical and scientific, and I'm like, really? There was a flood over the Earth, and this and that, and this happened, and then, but the more you do research and the more you watch other people who's done the legwork for you, like the Ron Wyatt documentary. Again, I don't know if that's all. I'm not saying I watched and believe it all, but there's a lot of powerful evidence that people have gone with and shown with video cameras and done the scientific tests. I'm starting to believe you need to really take these things that happen in this book, especially in the Old Testament, literal.
I can just tell you from my life.
Literal.
That you should take that seriously.
Like when you look at, they found Sodom and Gomorrah, and you can see the sulfur balls in there, and you can see how nothing's growing there. The Noah's Ark, how they took animal. I still have questions about Noah's Ark. I do. I'm not gonna lie. And worldwide, but they definitely found the Ark, and there's definitely.
Well, there's obviously evidence.
There's definitely
a
like
flood,
animal, petrified
of
animal shit inside of there, and fur hairs that they've had tested, and then all sorts of stuff that's very eye-opening. And you have to remember, it's God. Well, that can't happen. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. Well, I can see it from my own life. Yeah. Like I said, I don't even need. I mean, I love seeing the evidence because it's amazing. But without seeing, I still have faith. That's the whole point, is that you don't need to know everything. You don't need to see everything to have faith.
And if you put the effort,
and I can even see it in my, he has showed me so much in my own life that if I still needed all that to see it all, then there'd be a problem. Because he has done he's done so many things in our life that we have seen.
And the more effort
the miracles
you put in,
of God,
it's like anything else. The more effort you put in, the more you'll get back.
And I think the story is to show people that he actually he cares about his people. Like, he cares about them even when they're fucking up. He cares about them, he has done so much. He's been so faithful to me when I didn't take my part of the covenant seriously. And I was off doing stupid things, but he was still there. And he was still using everything to call us. And he did, right? I mean, and then he called us. And then he saved us, like just like in the story in the Exodus, when people are enslaved, enslaved to sin. We were enslaved to Phoenix, to my health deteriorating worse and worse and worse because it was getting worse and worse and worse. And
well, I just had a thought, and I think that's and I don't know how to parse it out, so I'm just going to say it. I think that's the scary part, what a lot of people don't want to hear. You get called. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, then I don't know.
It's something that you get called in the heart, and you just have eyes to see, and you see it, and you're just like, oh my goodness.
If there's people out there that like aren't getting that call, this is why I hesitate, but I feel bad, but
it says it actually in here that God will call you for His good purposes, because it's all for Him.
Maybe you think you aren't, but you just aren't listening.
Yeah.
Or maybe put some effort in and I don't know, but
I can tell you that He calls.
If you don't get the call, you probably want to.
He saves.
Make sure your phone is on the hook, I guess. Maybe you are and you just don't realize it. Because like I said, I can't explain to you why I started doing what I did. I've always knew in life that, like, ever since I was young, I always knew that modern society, just something was wrong. The way things are wrong. And I'm not talking ultra, like, with one particular thing. Just to do a general, like... And, then you start reading the Bible and you're like, well, all those stories actually, for the most part, 99% make logical sense. Like, it gives you a set of rules, and then you get stories to show how they play out when you do follow the rules and when you don't.
Yeah.
And then you see
it.
humans continually effing up and being human and not following the rules. And it's cyclical. It's like just like history you could read back for hundreds, thousands of years. It's always the same. If people would just wake up.
Like I said, just in our life, He has saved us so many times, just like He saved the people back in the Israelites back in the Exodus, and He still does it. Like, Yeshua, Jesus, still saves, and He still has many miracles in people's lives, and it's for Him, for His glory, to have all the glory go to Him. And I think He also does it for us, because us skeptical humans who sometimes really need to see, and so that is the whole point of this video, is to show people that He cares. He will save you when you cry out.
You have to put in the effort
for His good purpose. You do need to. I think He meets you where you're at, wherever you're at. You don't have to be some amazing biblical person.
No,
you just have to have a heart to call to Him. I think that's really where it starts, is the heart.
Don't get turned off. Here's about this. Don't get turned off to the Lord because of the church. A lot of people are going to flip out over that. The church is... Why do you think, getting into Revelation, the whore that rides the beast and her offspring, those are the church, the different factions of churchianity. Church has done more, in my opinion. Like, granted, I've not read everything.
No, I grew up in the church, actually.
The church has done more, I think, to turn people off to the Lord than they... I mean, I know a lot of them help in certain ways, and they think they're helping, and there are a lot of good, but...
There's some that... All I can say is,
Don't read the book. You don't have to go to church to read the book. And if you have some questions, and you go to the internet and you watch multiple people to get their opinions.
Actually, what you really just need to do is pray to the Lord that the Spirit would guide you.
I prayed, and I found Baron Rex, and Saw. I started watching Saw videos,
and even our church actually helped out a lot.
They did, but not specifically in the book
as much, but they did help in a lot of ways. They led us to some pretty, really good people. Sometimes people are going to be at different levels than you, but it doesn't mean that they're not good people. Just because maybe some of their beliefs are a little bit different than you.
You're going to meet some good people that haven't, gotten it yet. They think they do, but...
But they're still good people, what I mean? And I think that our church kind of helped, that, because it was just at the time where they started actually reading this whole book. Our church read this whole book through and through. So it was perfect timing, and he used it. So, but you don't need to have a church. All you need is the Word and the Spirit. to help you. And so thank you, Lord,
Yeah, we gotta
very
wrap it
much
up.
for all that you've done for us, because we
Yes.
just hope that we gave you all the praise and all the glory, because you're the best.
He's the only reason we're here.
Yeah, he's the only reason we're anything. So
Don't forget, my name is Axl Rose, and I like to ask questions.
oh yeah.
Featuring, that's gonna be. I have to. Well, you know.
Featuring Axe.